beginner's mistake, Simon. Put the mic on. You know better, Mr. Williams. Well, there you go. I'll try again, shall I? I sometimes mute the mic when I'm just doing my little entrance kind of thing, but hopefully you can hear me now. God, I'm such an amateur sometimes. I was just saying happy Friday to you all. Hopefully you're having a lovely Friday. Weekend coming up, you're off work, etc, etc. It's Friday evening over here in England, and it's very sunny for a change. England normally rains the whole time, but it's actually now sunny. So I'm celebrating with a little glass of cider on a Friday. Why not? It's Friday. And it's the weekend coming up soon. Woohoo! So I would like to say hello to everyone who's watching. Hello, Lona Druid, my nemesis. Maybe we'll get a revenge match later on. Who knows? And hello to everyone else who's tuned in. I'll be doing my normal stuff for about an hour and a half. I've got some very interesting stuff to show you, hopefully. So you might learn something. You never know. And then I'm going to play a long play game against one of you guys in the chat. Try to give you, a bit of fun. A bit of a nice, fun game. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I don't know what you guys have got planned. Tell me in the chat before we get onto the proper chess stuff. You know, we can at least have a little chat about the weekend. Being a chess professional, I don't have a normal 9-to-5 job. You know, I'm often working at the weekends. I often don't get up at 9, but I work late. It's 9 o'clock in the night here. I'll finish about 11 tonight. So it's a bit weird. But actually tomorrow, me and some friends from college are going over to London, and we have got tickets to the Guns N' Roses reunion tour. So it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Let me know what else you've got planned as well. Now, I actually saw the advert. Maybe you guys saw it as well when you log on to Twitch or even to chess.com. A little advert comes up, and it's actually a TV series I've just been watching. Actually, I had an hour off before this. I had a bit of preparation. I watched a little bit of it, and it's American Gods. Have you guys seen that? It's a great channel, great show, and I have to say I've got a new aim in life. My aim a number of years ago was to become a Grandmaster. I managed to do that. Maybe I've slacked off a little bit since then, but it's very hard to become a Grandmaster. And now I think my new aim is to become a leprechaun. And this guy is, I think I'm getting nearer that look every day. So my new aim is to become a leprechaun. To be sure. And I want to be a leprechaun now. A chess Grandmaster leprechaun. So there you go, sir. So there we go. Anyway, it should be, that's my new aim in life. Don't know why, just feels cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, so it's going to be good. But I've got, like I said, some very interesting things lined up. Now, to start with, I thought I would show you, basically, one of my favourite games from a long time ago. Actually, it's a long time ago now. It kind of seems like yesterday to me. And 2006 is probably my favourite game from 2006. And obviously, you might know there's a big tournament going on at the moment, one of the strongest tournaments in the world ever, in Norway, the Norway Chess Classic. And Magnus Carlsen is having a bit of a hard time. Don't know what you guys think of that. I mean, I still think he's clearly the best player in the world. Everyone has bips. It's not how you go down, it's how you get up again. And I'm 100% confident Maggers, did I say Maggers? I meant Magnus, being Maggers is like nearly a beer from Ireland. I'm really getting things confused today. I'm sure he's going to bounce back. He's such a great player, and I think it's just a little bip. And playing chess, as we all know, is an incredibly tough game, and you can get in a bit of a ruck, but you've just got to get back on the saddle and try again, get back into the groove and try to take things on the chin and readjust. So I think, it's sad to see him do that, but I actually found a game I want to show you where he actually got crushed. Now, I'm not doing that in a way because I think he's a bad player, but this was just a beautiful game, and he bounced back from this one. His opponent was Peter Svidler, who doesn't need any introduction. Probably the greatest commentator out there in chess, especially at higher level. If you're a higher level player, maybe he's a bit too intense. If you're a lower rated, person, I try to keep things a bit more simple. Being a simple leprechaun myself, but he's a great commentator, a lovely guy, and in this game he also showed that he can play a little bit of chess as well. And I think this game basically is very interesting because it's the kind of game we all wish to play at some point in our life. And it's the kind of game where I think lower rated players kind of struggle to achieve because they're not willing to risk so much. I find they're not really willing to pull the trigger when the timing's right. And in order to become a better chess player, I think one of the biggest things you can do as a lower rated player is take some risks and occasionally just go for it as long as the foundation is there. So this was a really, really great game. And let's dive into it. So we're looking at it from the white side. We're going to be Peter Schvidler, the Russian, today. And the game started with e4. And as the game I showed yesterday, I'm trying to keep a little bit of a theme with the openings I want to show you. I will play a long play game later on, but I think it's nice to warm up with a game. If I have time, a puzzle, get you guys a little bit of a free lesson so you can sit back, get your beer out if it's in the evening, enjoy. And it started with Sicilian. So we've looked at various ways to play against Sicilian yesterday. And in this game, it went knight to c3 and now knight to c6. Now, I did mention yesterday, if you're a young player and you have lots of time on your hands, a great way of playing against a Sicilian is the open Sicilian. And this is where you play the move d4. I actually see someone in the chat, Aim Ace Move. Hello, Aim Ace Move. It's great to see you in the chat as well. I hope things are going well for you, sir. I wish you the best of luck from my heart. Is saying Peter is boring. Well, I'm not going to comment on that, but he's certainly not a boring player, and he's not a boring chap. He's a great player, and this game shows that. This could have easily been played by Morphy or some such genius from the old ages. Back to the game. I did mention d4. If you're young, you have a lot of time, this is the move you should be playing against a Sicilian because you get very exciting positions, but it requires a lot of learning. Now, if you're older, even like me, I'm coming up to 40 nowadays, I don't have time to analyse a lot of this. So the way I play nowadays is try to find sidelines which are not so well analysed, so I don't have to spend my whole life reading books and doing other things and keeping up with theory. I try to pick openings. I do this in my DVDs, which as soon as you learn once, they'll last you forever. And a great way to play against a Sicilian is, well, there's a number of ways. And here Peter just goes knight to c3. A very sensible move. And basically, he can still go d4 if he wants to, but what can be wrong with a good developing move? And if you're ever out of theory in the opening, then, just play normal good moves, develop your pieces, get castled. I'm sure Peter wasn't out of theory here. Magnus played knight to f6, and I think Magnus was wanting Peter to go d4, when after taking, there's two main moves here. The Srezhnikov is with e5. This move is a very aggressive move from black, but positionally speaking, it's a horrible move from black. Why is this a horrible move? Because when the knight moves, these two squares here, every poor move, as I said yesterday, creates weaknesses. And these two squares here, d6 and d5, are really big holes. But it's dynamic. Black tries to get dynamic chances on the other side of that. So I expect that's the kind of thing that Magnus wanted. The other line, which I find very interesting, is just d6 here. If you remember yesterday's lesson with a6, that was the Nyadorf, and we're not looking at that today. But this is the classical Sicilian, and this is a very interesting opening as well. You may be able to remember back the candidates tournaments this last year. There was a very important last round between Sergei Karyakin, nickname Carjacking, especially if you live in certain areas of America or Liverpool. And he was playing Fabiano Caruana, and with black, Fabiano had to win to qualify for the candidates. And Fabiano, in a must-win position, played this variation. So if you're looking for a very aggressive line, this is something worth watching. Now, I can see people in the chat saying, where am I looking? Where am I watching your comments? Obviously, I've got 3 screens. I've got the screen here with the board, the chat over here. So when I look over here, I'm looking at the chat. And I'm looking at the chat on chess.com/TV and also on Twitch chess. So I'm trying to do many things as usual, but a good old leprechaun can do such things. To be sure, to be true, sure, to be sure. Got to improve my Irish accent. But anyway, the game continued here with Peter avoiding the main lines. And I really like this move, Bishop B5. This is, again, a good developing move. You're threatening to double black's pawns, and you are getting ready to castle. What can be wrong with this move? It certainly is not a bad move. Magnus now played a move which I think is, nowadays, I would say, I don't know what the theory is. I'm guessing that this has gone a little bit out of fashion because it's quite slow. Queen c7. The idea of this, of course, is if bishop takes c6, you don't have to double your pawns. You can recapture with your queen, and you gain a nice, nice position. I am apologising to everyone in Liverpool there. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Come on. I love Liverpool. I go up there all the time. But you know, anyway, sorry if you're from Liverpool, but you know, I did once get my car stolen up there, so hence the joke. Anyway, Queen c7. And now Peter played a very normal chess. He castled. Now, you know, if you want to create brilliancies in your chess, then basically, you know, you can't just get it out of thin air. You can't just get brilliancies out of thin air. You have to create brilliancies from a good platform. And here Peter is doing the basic things. He's castling, he's developing. And normally only brilliancies will actually occur if your opponent does some silly stuff. So you can't play brilliancies every game, but you've got to grasp the opportunity when it's there. Back to the game. Well, here black now played the knight into d4, and again I'm not so sure about this because there's a rule you shouldn't move the same piece twice in the opening. This changes the pawn structure, and maybe black's okay, as we're going to see, but he has to be very, very accurate. If I was black here, I'd probably be more willing to trying to get my bishop in the game so I could castle. A very tricky move here. I'm going to ask you the first question. One thing I always like from these shows is getting you guys involved. Now, just answer Y or N. Okay, Y or N. What do you think of this move, knight g4? Do you like that move? Yes. Or do you not like that move? No. So, what do you think of that? Yes or no? What do you think of that? Yes or no? Is that okay? We've got a couple of. We've got the first Y from IdeoX, Wooston N, Chess Bay. Lots of N's now coming through. Lots of N's. This is on Twitch chat, and I think the main consensus is no. People don't like this move, and I have to agree. In a classical game with two good players, this is more of a move I think lower rated tricky players might play, but it goes against the principles of chess. Again, you're moving the same piece twice. You are trying to get some tricks going based on this square here. But it's not a good move. It doesn't help developing. As long as white is careful, it doesn't threaten much. The only thing that white has to avoid doing here is some normal move like d3. If the first thing you must do is look at your opponent's last move and try to see what their idea is. Now, if white played d3, that is not a very good move. You're not trying to punish this strange move. When your opponent plays a strange move, try to punish it. d3 is doing nothing to punish it. Why would d3, in my opinion, be a slight mistake? I mean, it's not the end of the world for white, but it kind of gives black some chances. What would black be able to play here? So what moves would black maybe throw into the position here? And while you come up with some suggestions. It gives me a chance to stop talking and enjoy another sip of some lovely cider. But it's only one glass of cider for me today because I've got a very long day tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm even going to survive tomorrow, but we will see. Okay, so what's the idea here? Well, the idea is a common trick, and one thing you've got to notice to become better as a chess player is common patterns, common tricks, common ideas, because when you see them in one position, you'll start to see them in many other positions. This is aimed, basically, this combination of knight and queen is aimed at trying to get the queen down to h2. But in order to do that, you need to get rid of the knight on f3. So here, knight to d4 would be a very annoying move for white. The threat is knight takes the defender of h2, and then queen takes h2, checkmate. So this is a little bit uncomfortable, and this pattern, again, I just want to show you how you've got to remember patterns, even in different openings. One opening I play often, which is the same pattern, and you've got to start recognizing these ideas to improve as a chess player, is the following. I'm going to go all the way back, and it's a completely different opening. But it's won me lots of games. It's in the Queen Gambit. I'm going to go through the opening moves very quickly. It's in the traditional line of the Queen's Gambit, but where I play Bishop F4, and you wouldn't believe how many games I've won with this, where I do the same thing. I go Queen C2, Knight C6. I don't want a piece coming there, so I go A3, Queen A5, and now I generally castle. The main line's Bishop E7, and now I play H4, surprise, surprise, and after some move like Bishop D7, I do the same idea, Knight G5, and hopefully now you can see the relevance with this variation, and you know what we just seen, it's the same pattern. This is much better though, because I've got the support from my H-pawn, and I'm threatening here. H6 doesn't help black because you're not actually threatening to take here. I mean, what would be a good move from white here? Let's try to get you guys involved with this show as much as possible. So if you're white here, after h6, what would be a good, well, maybe even a winning idea for white here? How could white play a winning idea here? So let's get your suggestions in. What is a winning idea for white in this position? So you're white here. It's not just one move. Your opponent is attacking your knight. What is the correct sequence of moves to play? So Can We Doot has the right idea in chess.com, and Aim Ace Move and ST Salt has the right idea in Twitch. And the right idea here, again, you want to get rid of the knight on f6. How do you get rid of that? Well, you want to destroy this central point. So something like pawn takes pawn, and now if black takes back, otherwise it'd be a pawn down, knight takes d5. And again, we see the same theme occurring. You want to try to get rid of the knight here and deliver checkmate on h7. It doesn't matter if black takes on g5, because you take with this pawn, and now you've got a very dangerous attacking unit. And this position is probably just lost for black, because there's no way to hold on to the knight and defend h7. So this is actually just a winning position. I mean, this queen is going to get into the position and deliver checkmate. So back to the game. I just want to show you that when you see a pattern you like, try to remember it, because it could well win you lots of games in future. So back to the game, and the game continued with not this trick, but instead knight d4. And now Peter took the knight and played the most aggressive move, of course, knight d5. Now we have a change of pawn formation, because we have all these pawns on the d file. A little bit of advice I would give you is that when you have a change of pawn structure in chess, then you should really rethink the position. It's very important to rethink and try to work out how things have changed, because the pawn structure is like your skeleton. Without your skeleton, you'd just be a mess on the floor. Your skeleton holds you together. The pawns hold you together, and whenever your skeleton changes, then you need to adapt to the new situation. It's like, if you grow or, something, you need to adapt to that new situation. So here, how does this change things? Well, first of all, white has an open e-file, so that's be the first thing we should be looking at. Potentially the pawn on d5 could move forwards and create a lot of problems. So I think this formation change has probably helped white somewhat. So the game continued. a6. Now, we're trying to make life from this moment on as difficult for black as possible. So moving the bishop anywhere on these highlighted squares is a mistake, because then we make our opponent's life easy. One thing you'll see me do time and time again is always thinking about my opponent's ideas and trying to stop them. And if I move this bishop anywhere along here, then black can go d6 at some point, and this really helps him because his bishop can come out and it just frees up his position somewhat. I want to stop my opponent from developing for as long as possible, and Peter did that. He went bishop a4, pinning the pawn on d7. So now g6 was played, and here I think it's clear that if Magnus can go bishop g7 and castle, he will have a fantastic, well, not fantastic game, but a very sensible and okay game. But already we should start to consider what is wrong with our opponent's position and what's good with ours. And this is one of the most basic rules: king positioning, castle, king in the middle. If we can keep black's king in the middle, we are going to be doing very well. But we can't force that. We need to get all our troops working. So now d3, because one more piece needs to come out. And the idea of this is, well, if bishop g7, what would be a good move from white here? I'm going to give you lots of questions because I still have my little glass of cider to drink, and it gives me time to have a wee sip. So what would be a good move here to stop black from castling and to improve our position? Chess is about restrain and push. Restrain our opponent, push our own ideas. Restrain, push. Buh, 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 buh. So what is a good way to stop black from castling? Now, a move like queen g4 does nothing. Black castles. We need to stop our opponent castling. And already the thin white duke, Dominus et Deuce, have come up with the right idea, and that is on chess.com. And Dagwoa, I probably said that wrong, has come up with the right idea. Now, if you play a move like queen g4, I don't see the point of this move personally. It's kind of hitting at nothing. Maybe you can try going queen h4, not there, queen h4, but you do allow your opponent to castle. Let's just stop him doing what he wants. We've got to think about what our opponent wants to do and stop it. If you play a move like f4, okay, well, again, it's not a terrible idea, but we are allowing to castle. Let's stop him castling. So my preferred move here, and maybe rook e1 is okay, but why not develop a piece? I would go bishop g5 in this position, and I already think this is a bit difficult for black. He can't castle now because we take this very important pawn here, and after rook e8 d6, we are practically winning here. These are like this is like cancer in black's position. And if black tries to kick the bishop away, well, we just go bishop h4. And if g5, black has played a move where he's weakening his king position, and this is very uncomfortable. So Magnus, being the great player he is, after the move d3, stops this. He goes h6, but the alarm bells should be ringing. We should be noticing at this moment that our opponent has played two pawn moves, and he is a couple of moves away from castling. But Svidler's next idea showed great understanding. Now, generally, in this position, even if Svidler can't castle, we got to work out what our opponent's plan is and stop it. Our opponent's plan is bishop g7, king f8 in some positions, and d6. These are the three key moves, because then he has managed to develop this bishop, and okay, his king later on can try to come to h7. That's worst case scenario for black. So if we play something like rook e1, which is what I think 99% of the world would play, then bishop g7 is a move I think that black would try. I don't know what we'd do here. Maybe we go queen e2, but now bishop f6. We're defending this square, and what can we do now? We're running out of ideas. Let's say we go bishop d2. Black plays king f8, because if he castles, you lose h6. But this is starting to be okay for black. After some very simple moves, black's position is getting better and better. Next move, he will go d6. His bishop will be able to come out. Then he'll go king g7, and his position's okay. So Svidler came up with what I think is a brilliant idea. And the reason this idea works so well is because he understands his opponent's ideas. Now, instead of rook e1, he played queen f3. And after bishop g7, black is one move away from being absolutely okay. Aldo, hello Aldo, glad you can join in today, yeah, good to see you, man. Aldo had in the Twitch has exactly the right idea. Aldo has the same idea as Peter Svidler, but the way Peter Svidler played this is the queen here is better than having a pawn on g3, because the queen is much more active here than it is on d1. And now bishop to f4. And this makes life a little bit difficult for black, because, well, you have to move your queen, and if you don't do anything immediately, I'm going to start throwing d6 into the position, and d6 is a really annoying move, because then black cannot move the d-pawn, cannot develop the bishop. So Magnus now played queen a5, and this is the first, well, not the first key moment, because already Svidler's come up with this very clever idea of queen f3, but it's certainly an important moment. Interesting question, actually, from, I just see Lucas Cardosa, maybe, is asking about bishop to this square. And actually, I have to admit, that's not a move I considered. I expect the answer to this. I really want to play d6 for some reason, but I'm expecting the answer might be I can take here and get a tempo with rook here. So let's say I play simple. Look for the simple solution first. I mean, any of you who are Sherlock Holmes fans would know that one thing he said in one of his books was, when he was trying to solve cases, he was the most famous fictional detective of all time, I'd say, from London, fictionally from London, and he came up with the idea, or should I say, his author did, of when you've ruled out all the probable and possible solutions and possibilities, then you start looking at the improbable and impossible. But first of all, you must rule out all the basically simple answers. Start with the simple answers. If the simple answers are not working, then you go crazy. And this is exactly the same principle in chess. Bizarrely enough, if you are in a situation, 90% of the time, you want to look at the most simple moves. You don't need to go crazy. And here, I'm looking at simply taking the bishop, gaining a very nice tempo of rook here. And now, if a move like queen d6, as is recommended, I can now just try to win a pawn. Let's say queen to e4. And I think black is in serious trouble here. Queen takes d4 is a big threat. I'm still stopping you castling, and I can just play this positionally. Your bishop on c8 is dead, and I think that this is probably a winning position for white already. So again, that's a good little tip there. Look for the most simple solution, and then if it doesn't work, then you get more bizarre in your calculations. And saying that, the game continued after bishop f4, queen a5, and now in this position, what do you guys think is a good move from white? I'm not going to give you any hints whatsoever, but following the principles that we're trying to stop our opponent doing what he wants to do, this is what you've got to be aware of, to create brilliancies, attacking brilliancies, where it looks on the surface that you're doing all the attacking. Most of these brilliancies work so well because you understand what your opponent's trying to do and you stop it. So here, the bishop on a4 is in serious trouble. But if we move that, we lose time. Is there some other ideas? And if you've seen this game, well, I tried to pick a game today from 11 years ago, just so you probably, well, if you're 10 years old, you probably haven't seen it. But you know, I'm trying to pick a game that you may be not so aware of, and just think about the ideas and the position here. And there's a absolutely brilliant idea. And you know, I mean, the first move I'd be thinking of here, if I was white, would of course be bishop b3, because my bishop is quite good here. But then my opponent castles, and he's one move away from being okay. He can go d6 and he's okay. So I'm not sure if this is the right way to play. If you ever go d6 here, e5, and you know, this position is okay for black. So top players will make their opponent's life as difficult as possible. And I'm not sure if the computer thinks the next move's the best move, but it's so effective, because chess is about making life impossible for our opponents. So, Sparkly Marky, congratulations, you are a mini genius in the making, or maybe just a genius. That's on Twitch. I don't think anyone in chess.com chat has found the whole idea, but Rob Grow has got the right kind of first move, should I say. And, well, I mean, a lot of people are suggesting d6 here, but after queen takes a4, I'm not sure what your follow-up is. If you go pawn takes e7, yes, you have stopped the king from castling, but you've given up a whole piece. Maybe there's some compensation here, but I don't see how you can generate any threats here. And you might have some compensation. Maybe you can play bishop to d6 here. I'm not saying this is a terrible idea. Well, you can't, because it's black's move. Actually, black can play a move like queen c6. Actually, that's a very good move. Just stopping your bishop coming in, trying to exchange queens, getting ready to move this. I don't think this is enough. I don't think it's enough. You need to try to find something else. And Svidler now came up with an amazing idea. He changed the pace. He went rook to e1. Magnus is now forced to take the bishop, because if he castles here, then we can now play bishop to b3. And the difference in this position is, well, this is really hard to defend. In the last position, bishop to b3, castles, what is the difference? Let me just have a look. Let me just try to work this out. If we go bishop to b3 here, I was saying castles, wasn't I? But then this actually leads to the same position, which is very difficult for black. Maybe a better move than castles, actually, I got this a little bit wrong, my apologies, would be something like d6 first here. This is much better. Yeah, let's do this first to stop you ever having ideas of this. And then if you go rook e1 here, my queen comes back and I start defending everything, and I will castle. Okay, so I'm just trying to stop this from occurring. So I got a little bit mixed up there, because after rook e1 now, if black castles here, bishop b3, this is a very difficult position for black. You can't defend this pawn adequately. If you play e6, d6 is this fawn in the side. Maybe you can play e5 now, but you've lost a lot of moves. I've got my extra rook here. I've gained a lot of ideas here. My bishop on b3 is good. Compared to the last time I played this, I've at least gained a tempo. I mean, I think if you're going to have a bad position anyway, you might have a bad position with extra material, because then if you survive the attack, you'll get a winning ending. So Magnus took on a4, and now the real idea of this, again, you can't allow black to castle, so you have to give up a second piece. In proper Morphy style, rook takes e7 check. A brilliant idea. And the idea of this is, after king takes, we bring in the last piece, and we have 3 pieces attacking, but we are now a whole bishop and rook down. So we're like 8-9 points down. But it's so tricky for black, because black's pieces cannot coordinate. He can't get them fixed. I still actually think with the right moves here, black can get a draw. I did a bit of computer analysis, and you know, computers have improved a lot in the last 11 years, and it looks like black can draw this. But the point is, even if the computer says black can draw, in a situation on the board, I would hate to be black here, because you're the one under pressure. You're the one getting attacked. If you make one mistake here, you lose the game. And the next move is probably the losing move. In this position, Magnus put his king to d8. And as I calculated, maybe, well, I didn't, the computer did, king f8 might be a drawing line, because now we get quite a forced sequence of moves. I think we should go bishop d6 check. This is one of the key ideas behind Peter Svidler's sacrifice. King to g8. And now rook to e7 looks completely correct with ideas of this. And I think black can just about grovel here. King to h7. This is all very forcing. Queen f7. This looks like it should be completely winning for white. But in actual fact, after rook g8, black is just about hanging on for a draw. For example, bishop to e5, threatening a disaster here. Black can now start a counter-attack with queen takes c2. And now black is threatening a back rank checkmate. So I had a look at this a little bit, and I came to the conclusion it's a draw. But I have to say, if I was in this position with the black pieces, I would probably think that h3 is still going to be winning, just for the idea of going bishop takes here. But funnily enough, the computer now finds an amazing defensive move. Let's see if you can find a defensive move. So what is the best and maybe the only way that black may even actually be better after the next move? I mean, we could go h4 as well. It doesn't matter, h4 or h3. It's still the same thing. And also, you know, in order to become a good attacking player, you have to be a good defensive player, because you've got to understand your opponent's possibilities. You've got to calculate properly. Defense and attack are really the same thing. They're just the other way around, a bit like Alice in Wonderland. So what is the only way now you can stop bishop takes g7? There's only one way to do this. If I'm able to play bishop takes g7, it looks like it's game over. There is an idea, though, that, you know, don't just think of desperate moves that can delay the game. There's actually an idea here where you don't just delay the game, but you get a better position. So imagine you're black here in what looks like a helpless situation. A couple of you got the right move. So well done to you who have got the right move. The right move, I think, I haven't actually got my computer analysis here, but I think is this amazing move, queen to e2. And the idea of this is to re-sacrifice your queen for the rook on e7. And I think this move holds the position together for white. For example, the idea, if bishop takes g7, which may look winning, we now play queen takes e7. When your material up, you can re-sacrifice a lot of material to get a better game. And now, after queen takes here, rook takes g7. Well, black has got a number of pieces here, and black's managed to defend. So quite an amazing defensive idea, which even a world champion can miss, which he did in this case. It shows you just how hard it is to defend in chess. So instead of doing this this crazy line, after rook e1 check, Magnus played king d8. And I love the way that white plays this now. It's quite beautiful, because normally when one side has a lot of material down, they panic and they try to rush things and they look for an immediate win. But here, the simple move, bishop d6, it's a very quiet and slow move. Never panic. Rule number one, probably in life as well, but in this position, bishop d6 is simply a very nice move. We have a threat of queen takes f7, followed by mate, and because black has no coordination, even though he's a lot of pieces up, I think black's completely lost it. Black is completely lost. Unbelievably. I mean, if you'd have tried other moves here, I see a suggestion of queen to g3, trying to throw in checkmate. Well, here I think black probably has a number of ways. I want my queen on f3. Here, if I was black, maybe just d6. And if you go bishop takes d6, I can get my queen back to a very important defensive square. And generally, one move throughout the whole game, throughout this whole game, that black has been trying to play to free his pieces has been pawn to d6. So bishop to d6 stops the bishop on c8 moving. So again, we're thinking about our opponent's ideas. It stops the rook on a8 getting into the game. The bishop on g7 is not doing much. Rook e8 loses because we can win by checking now. We go rook takes rook, and then every move's a check. Let's move our queen in. Should be easy to see it's checkmate next move. So this move, bishop d6, shows complete domination of the board, even though we're numerous pieces down. It's a fascinating position. Magnus tries queen a5, and now b4, very slow build up, just trying to force the queen to a worse square. Queen b6, and here, well, we can't take on f7 because the queen takes our really important bishop. But now the very slow move, queen to f4. And again, there's no panic here. White is slowly setting up threats. With this idea, he wants to go bishop e7 check, and he's stopping the black king from coming to this square. And he's not rushing. Now, the game continued. It's very hard position. Black can't move anything. Let's try to think of moves of black. What can he do? He can't really do anything. He tried g5 to misplace the queen. But now white plays bishop e7 check. Only one move, king e8. And here is the only time where white played, I would say, a slight error. And I will be playing a game after this, by the way, for anyone who's asking. I know this has gone on again a bit longer than I thought, but as usual, I'm going to play a game myself, a longer play game where I talk through my thought processes, because this kind of proves to be quite popular and it's quite fun. But it also, I'll try to play a bit more gambity today, I think, and go for a bit more craziness. Maybe I'll play one of you guys as well. But what is the right move here? Well, Aldo has found the right move immediately. Well done, Aldo, because you have a number of possibilities. You have a bishop check. You know, I mean, the first moves I'd be looking at is something like bishop c5, bishop f6, bishop takes g5. Are they the right moves, or is there something better? And really, it's down to calculation here. I mean, in the game, the move bishop c5 check was played, but in actual fact, after the only possibility, queen e6, this game still needed to be won. And it goes back to saying the threat is stronger than the execution. And the idea here, which is the strongest, is just moving your queen first and keeping all the threats of moving this bishop alive. And queen e4 basically is completely winning for white. Black cannot do anything. We're actually threatening bishop d6 and queen e7, checkmate. So we're threatening checkmate this way, which is even stronger. And after queen g6, which is an attempt to swap queens, what is white's main idea here? What can white do in this position? This is the best defensive move, and maybe Peter Svidler didn't see the win here, but it's actually, I would say, a reasonably simple checkmate now. So what is, I mean, again, if you can see a checkmate, play the checkmate. So look for the most forcing moves first. What is the checkmate? Can anyone see a little puzzle position for here? White to play and win. It gives me another chance, have another sip, hopefully. White to play and win. And, you know, you could keep your threats of queen e2, but if you can win through checks, let's win. Sparkly Marky, congratulations. It looks like you're the first person to find the win. Aldo, well done as well, sir. And Can We Doot, you're doing well. Fishan Heimer, well done. The way to play this is a beautiful checkmate. You actually allow the queens to be exchanged. This is why I love this so much. And now with queen e6, we've moved our queen to a better square, so we should win quite easily. And the real point is if queen takes queen, which looks like you're not going to have surely enough pieces to give checkmate. Rook takes queen, and it doesn't matter if you put the bishop in the way, I'll just take it. At some point, you're going to have to go king d8. And now, what about this for a checkmate? And this checkmate works so well because the pawn is on d7. Again, if it was on d6, it'd be a different story. The king would have more air. So it's a brilliant idea. But Peter Svidler, in the end, let's have a look at the rest of the gameplay. Bishop c5 check. One more question coming up. Last question. Queen e6. And now he just played queen d2. And the difference here is that the white queen's much more passive. d6 was played. We took the queen eventually, but we might as well take that pawn. And the thing is, black's got a lot of material. Now, he played a bad move here. I won't have a look at it. We're running out a bit of time. King d7. Pawn takes here. King takes here. And at the end of the complications, we get this weird position where materialistically, black is still okay if you count the points. But all of black's pieces are disjointed. They're all over the board in horrible areas. And when you're playing against a queen, if you have the minor pieces against the queen, you want to make sure your pieces are connected and controlling, defending each other. And this was a bit like, I think, the game I showed yesterday. And to win this is still quite tricky. I mean, rook f8 was played, queen e2, threatening to come into this square. And the point is, if black ever takes on f7, you give up control of e8. And a move like queen e8 is a torturous move because the white queen controls everything. And this demonstrates just how black's pieces are so disjointed and in such a bad situation. They can't defend each other. But Magnus played the best move, bishop to f6, and now please don't use a computer with any of the questions I'm asking. It spoils it. But now, what is the final move to win this? Because I'm sure still a lot of people in this position would lose against Magnus. Because if you let black play, you know, something like rook takes f7 and rook e7, this is his crafty idea. I'm giving you a big clue there. So, for example, if I played a move which doesn't do anything, let's say a3, I just want to give black the move. We're trying to work out what black's idea is, even here. If I played a3 or something like that, then rook takes f7 is now okay, because queen e8, I have rook to e7. And the point is, if I swap rooks, well, I'm giving up all my active pieces, and black's going to be okay there, because we have two bishops and a rook versus a queen. I want to play queen to f8 here. This is what I want to play. I want to pin the rook, but now black can escape. Black can play king to d7, and all of a sudden this position is very unclear, because I can't play queen takes f6 because this is checkmate. And again, what else do I do here? Well, if I swap the rooks off, I'm not even sure who's better here. Black could even be better. So this position after bishop to f6 is quite an interesting position, but it's a position where you could still go really wrong. But I've kind of helped you out here by suggesting some moves. I mean, I don't think the move queen e8 works here, because I just go bishop d7, and I've helped you coordinate your pieces. This actually, maybe black's better again here. So what do you actually do here? What would you do? And there's two moves that win. Only probably two moves that win the game. Let's see if anyone can find those two moves. And it's to do with stopping that last variation that we saw. If black can't play rook takes f7, he's going to have a bad position. Now, if we go queen h5, this may be okay. Maybe, but our queen is very bad here. And I might just be able to move my bishop somewhere like f5 now. You take here, I go rook takes f7, and the queen is very bad over here. It's out of play. And again, black is now getting ready to move all of his pieces to good squares. So the next move that Peter Svidler played is probably one of the best moves of the game. But it doesn't look like it unless you really understand the position. So let's have some suggestions, and I'll just give you a bit of time to think about this, because you want to stop black from taking on f5 on f7, but you don't want to move these pieces off the diagonal. So what's the best move here? Well, a lot of people have got the computer best move, but it's not actually the move played, and I actually prefer the move played in the game than what the computer says. No one's found Peter Svidler's move. It's quite interesting. I mean, there's quite a lot of you watching this, and which is great. Thank you all for tuning in. But none of you have found Peter Svidler's move, the human move. And the move that Svidler played just shows exceptional understanding of chess. And more importantly, exceptional understanding of your opponent and what your opponent's trying to do and stopping his plans. If you can do that, you will win the game. Still, no one has found the move. I don't think anyone's going to find this move. You know, you could recommend every move on the board, but it's one move that people are not finding. Well, the computer's top move is actually c4. So well done if you found that without the computer. This is a brilliant move. The point is, if pawn takes c3, we open up another avenue for our queen, and our queen can go to e3, and next move it can come into one of these two squares with a winning checkmate attack. So if you saw that, well done. The other point is, if rook takes here, now we play c5 and we bring another attacking unit in. So c4 is the computer's best move, but I like Peter Svidler's move, which no one has found. One of the first times I've ever done commentary, no one's found it. King to f1. This move to me is one of the best moves of the game. Why on earth, you might be thinking, is this such a genius move, this ridiculous looking move? The reason is, this move defends the rook. So now, if we do the same variation as before, rook takes f7, now we go queen to e8, and now there's only really one square this rook can go to, rook e7, and now we go queen f8. If you saw the last variation, you'll know what I'm talking about. And here, you're threatening the bishop, and there's nothing that black can do. If king d7, our king is now defending this rook, so we can go queen takes bishop on f6. And this is the big difference. Before, you couldn't do this because rook takes a1 was checkmate, but here, our king is on f1. And it's a fantastic idea, this, because we're just stopping this king f1 move, black's idea of rook takes f7, because a queen e8, and let's just have a look. Is there anything else black can do? Well, he has to move the rook. Queen f8 is going to come next. So if rook e8, queen here, what about moving the bishop? Well, bishop e5, it falls to a tactic. Let's give you a chance to spot the tactic here. What is the tactical move here that white can play? White to play a good tactic here. Is there a good tactic? Well, I know there is here. White to play and win. So, yeah, and most of you are now spotting it. Rook takes e5 is an overloading tactic. Again, Peter must have seen all of these moves when he played king to f1. And this wins the game. If king takes, we take on e7. And it's just, I think it's just a lovely idea, because this wins the game. And that, for me, is one of the star moves, actually, of this game. And, well, the game ended very quickly after king f1, king c7, queen h5 is now played, only now played, because the difference is, in this position, well, we have more coordination with our pieces. I mean, if we do that a move ago, the king's actually better placed here. I mean, let's say we go queen here immediately. Well, let's just get this right here immediately. Well, I suppose I was recommending bishop here, but I suppose even stronger is bishop e6. This is even better because now the king defends the bishop, and we're going to go rook takes f7 next. So that again looks good for black, getting rid of that pawn. But this king f1 move now when we play here, well, the bishop can't go to this square. And after bishop f5, well, queen f3 actually wins the game. Maybe I missed this in one of the other variations, but hopefully you get the right idea. It's just these small things that win the game. And really, that's the game I wanted to show you. So I think it's now time for me to play a longer time limit game. I don't know if any of you guys want to challenge me. I'm going to play 15 minutes plus 10 seconds move. I really run over today. So, I mean, if you guys want, I could show another game and a puzzle and just keep it like that, because I'm supposed to be finishing the show in about 40 minutes, and it is Friday, got a long day, so I don't want to run too far over. So it's up to you. Okay, let's have a vote. Okay, say yes if you want me to play a long play game and show my thoughts. Why? Say N, no, if you want me to show another game and another puzzle. I'll leave it to you, and I'll just try to gauge which, you know, what you guys want, because I'm doing this for you guys, really. Yes, I can't even remember what did I say? Yes to play a game, didn't I? Okay, well, there's a lot of yeses coming in. Lots of people say yes. Lots of people saying no. Oh dear, this is a tough one. Puzzle, yes. It's about 50, it seems about 50-50, to be honest, doesn't it? About 50-50 here. So, I don't know, about 50-50. Well, you know what? I think today, because that took so long, guys, if you want to see more of my long play games, I'll certainly be doing more in future. But I think today, as it's Friday, I'm going to show one more game, one more puzzle, and then I'll play some blitz chess. It's Friday, you know, I'll play some blitz chess, have a little bit of a look. I am looking at Twitch. I'm kind of making my own decision here, and I'm thinking that I'm just going to show one more game and play some blitz chess. The next game will be a lot quicker. I'll go through it a lot quicker, and a puzzle as well. So we'll do that. And you know, I think a long play game will go on too far. If you want to see long play games, go to my YouTube channel. I've got a lot up on YouTube that you guys can see there. And also, you know, I will be doing a lot more in the future. So I'll do something different to yesterday. We can't do the same old stuff. So anyway, as I said earlier on, okay, just to break the tone a little bit, this is my idea to become a leprechaun. And has anyone else been watching the show? Gods, and that is the leprechaun in American Gods. Has anyone else seen the show? It's quite a cool little show, actually. I've only just watched it before doing this, so you know, my one moment to chill out today. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna play one game of blitz chess before I show another game. I'm just gonna play one game of blitz chess just to see how my form is. Then I'll show another game, just to do something a little bit different. So okay, cool. My rating's a bit rubbish at the moment. So okay, I'm gonna have to do something about that. I haven't been playing great blitz online. I'm just gonna see if I can play one nice game, just to give me a bit of info. One game, and then I'll show you another game. Try to get you guys involved. So. I'm going to give the Tarash French a go here. This is a variation I play often. It's only a 3-minute game. This one, this one. So it'll be over in 5 minutes. Just give me a bit of light relief on the Friday. I mean, I have to admit that the French is one of my oldest loves in chess. I've been playing this opening since I was about 6 years old. I've been playing it for a long time, hence, you know, 6 is a long time, and it's something my dad showed me, this opening, and something I still play nowadays, you know, and I've written some books on it, done some DVDs on it. Now I'm not really aware of my opponent's setup here, what I should be doing. I'm thinking I might get this check in at some moment, but he always blocks with his bishop, so I'm going to do a typical French defense idea. In the French defense, this pawn it is one of the main pawns that I want to attack. So okay, so I've got a choice to make here, and I think I'm going to go here with the idea. I've got a threat here actually of taking that one and taking here, but my opponent's defended well. So there's 2 pawn breaks. You've got to know your pawn breaks in the French. One of them I've played already, this one, and the other one is f6, but I think I maybe misplayed this now. I'm a little bit worried about Greek gift ideas here, so I need to play f6. I need to play this idea, and hopefully this will give me counterplay on the f file, and also my knight has some chances to move in. Now I'm going to change my mind. My bishop I quite like, because my pawns are on light squares, so my bishop works very well around that. My bishop on c8, as in the French defense quite often, is a really bad piece. But my opponent's playing very well here. He's stopping most of my plans. And this move is a very frustrating idea. Okay, so what can we do against this? Well, I want to go knight e4. This is my first thought. The other idea is maybe just to get my bishop out. Let's start with this one. I'm going to try to develop all my pieces. This is going to be bad if I lose this game. I was hoping I'm down on time as well. I've got to hurry up a little bit. So, okay, and after this, I will give you guys one more challenge. I'm just breaking up the show a little bit. Even if I lose, I'll give one more challenge. Now, one of the main ideas in the French, no, let's just move it, is to get the bishop to this square. Because then I get it on the other side of the pawns. And this is precisely what I'm gonna do in this position if I get a chance. Okay, so well, my opponent has done a horrible blunder there. Every pawn move makes a weakness, and my opponent did a horrible blunder there. I'll give him one more game because I always feel it's quite rude just to play one game. I did say one game, didn't I? But I'm kind of feeling guilty now because I won. I'm gonna sack. This is definitely the last game, and then we'll move on to this one as we go. But let's try to get a quick win in here. So I'm gonna go for a quick hacky attack. And right, well, basically, I'm gonna try to harness the power of Peter Svidler. Come on, feel the force. Feel the force. And Peter put his bishop here, didn't he? This is exactly what Peter did. And then he castled and he went for a quick attack. So I'm gonna try to harness the Svidler force. I think my idea here is to simply castle, which I'm gonna do. And maybe even because I'm head in development, like Peter Svidler, I want to try to find a way to break through to stop my opponent getting his king safe. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to try to break through the center. So either e5 or this one. Which one do I want to do? Well, I'm thinking, I mean, e5. If I go e5 takes knight here. Is that right? I quite like f5 in these positions normally. I'm gonna just play some crazy stuff. I want to try to open up the position, even if it costs me a pawn, and that's what I'm trying to do with this one. So open up the position somewhat, get some fun. Now I think my opponent should probably go bishop e7, which he has done. And can I build up any attacking ideas here? Well, can I do this? Open up the position still, keep the position open. My pawn on f5 could be quite annoying for him later on. I do promise after this game, whatever the result, guys, I'm going to show you this last game. I've got one more game, one more beautiful game to show you to get you guys involved. But as it's Friday, we're all allowed to treat ourselves, surely, with a bit of blitz on a Friday. Okay, now he's threatening that one. So I'm going to try to maybe maneuver my bishop, my knight. That's not a bishop, that's called a knight, to e4. That's one of my ideas. And maybe I will even get a chance to push my best friend up the board, Harry the H-pawn. And if you know me, Harry the H-pawn is indeed my best friend. So I'm kind of thinking he could sort of do this move, but I'm not fearing that one so much. Develop first. Okay, well, have I just dropped a pawn? I wasn't really considering that one. Okay, well, this one I wasn't too worried about because I saw this pawn would be on pre, and I think I'm going to grab that one. So let's do it. Let's grab that pawn. I think he should have called my bluff and taken. Poor old Harry hasn't played much of a part so far. And I'm just going to try to get this aggression going. Well, I can win the exchange. Simple is good. With knight to c7, if he goes rook to e8, that should be good enough. So we'll do, or I can nearly win the queen with bishop to this square. Bishop to c7 is nearly winning the queen as well. This is lovely, lovely cider, I have to say. Absolutely lovely. It's lovely to have a cider on a Friday. But okay, come on, let's get this one out of the way and get going. So my opponent has to sacrifice here. I think he's pretty much forced to do this. And we will take that one. We might as well take the gift if he's going to offer me a gift. Let's do it. And now I just want to keep my knight on this nice central square. So if I can reinforce the knight there, it should be pretty good for me, this position. I'll probably play some safety first moves at some point. I like the idea of getting my rook to d1 just to over protect this. So let's do that, get my last piece into the game. This is the only piece which is not doing anything. So I'm going to try to swing that one to d1 just to make sure my knight can remain on this very strong square on d5 here. If the knight remains on that square, then I think I must have a fantastic position. So I've got rook d1 coming next and just keep the knight there. And yes, I will get a rook there. Do I have a threat of some knight check now? Probably not, because his bishop guards everything. Okay, my opponent may be going for a bit of a desperado with... Oh, does this work? Does this work? Is there a knight e7? So close. Knight e7 takes, queen takes, bishop f8. I like it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Does that work? Of course it works. That is what you call whoosh, get your whipping thing out. This is what you call a back rank spank, or a back spanker. It's a back spanker, and that is clearly only in chess terms. Okay, enough of that. So I played a game there, and the idea of this move, if you didn't see it, my opponent resigned. I have to do more. Thank you for the games there. Is, well, if he doesn't take it, I'll take a rook. If he takes this one, his back rank is very weak. His king is trapped on the back rank, the back spank, and we're going to back spank him here. And here is the back spanker, the back ranker, the back spanker. There it is. And even though I give up my queen, I think it's clear to see this is a checkmate. Okay, right. So I'm going to now show you, and I haven't done anything with Harry so far, and I can't really do a show without bringing in my friend Harry, can I? It just wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't be a show without Harry. But I think to get you guys involved, as I've left you out a little bit, let's give you a puzzle first, shall we? And don't use your computers. Use your minds, please. Don't use your computers. And the puzzle is, let me get the right puzzle, is, okay, it's now, this, okay, it's a game, and this was a game from quite a long time ago, I think maybe 1970. So again, I try to pick a puzzle you might not be aware of. And this was a game between a very famous player with the black pieces, a famous Dutch player called Donna. And that's not Doner Kebab for all of you who are about to hit the pub on a Friday evening. Not Doner Kebab, no, not Doner Kebab. One of the most famous Dutch chess players called Jan Donner. And Donner, I've just seen if I've got his book over on my bookshelf. I have somewhere. He was a journalist in one of the Dutch papers, and he wrote about chess, and he was a very good writer. And I think the name of his book was is it King or something like that? I know I've got it. I was reading it like a couple of months ago. The King, and it's a really funny book. But here is one of the first times that a Chinese player got a good result against a world-leading player. Nowadays, that's not a shock. But the player, the white pieces, who we really, you could say this was a one-hit wonder. He had some other good results, but nothing spectacular. Played a brilliant game here. And one thing we're going to see is that the Harry file is open, and the black king is in a lot of trouble. So clearly, white is doing well. It's white to move, and what you've got to do in these positions is create threats. Try to create threats against your opponent's king and try to checkmate them. So, of course, the first move was Queen h4. Very logical move. And there's only one way that Donner can stop Queen h7. I have to say, he does actually more resemble a Doner Kebab after this move, but we won't go there. The only way to do that is by moving the f-pawn, because you have to try to run with your king. So f5 is played, and now what is the winning combination in this puzzle? One of the reasons I'm showing you this this puzzle is because in actual fact the game I'm going to show you in a minute which we'll go through quite quickly, but it's a very interesting game. Has a similar theme, and I'm trying to stick with similar puzzle themes just so you might recognize them for the future and for the current time. So it's white to play and win. Don't just tell me one move, because one move could be anything. I mean, okay, I mean, you could go check, so what? Try to tell me as many moves in the combination as you can. And I can see that Can We Doot, I probably pronounced that horribly wrong, I apologise, in the chess.com chat, is clearly a very strong player and has the right idea. But try to really tell me as many moves as you can. I also like to say some other people are hello to Rope Stoop and anyone else who's watching this stream as well. So the great AUK, well done. But I want you basically to tell me to checkmate. Tell me to checkmate, because this is a forced checkmate position and every move is actually a check. So when you're trying to go into these kind of things, you should be looking for checks. You should be looking for forcing moves. And you want to force this king out into the opening. I'll give you another clue now. This bishop on e2 plays a very important factor in the attack. Okay, a very important factor. Who's got the answer? Well, no one's told me all the moves to checkmate. No one at all. Calculus Nut in the twitch.tv chess chat seems to have actually found the right solution. So well done, Calculus Nut. If I had prizes, I will give them away, but I don't. So tough. Next time I stream, I'll do it on my own channel, and then I'll be able to give out more prizes. So let me show the answer. The answer is check on h7. And now we force the king into the open with a brilliant queen sacrifice. Queen takes g6 check. And the idea of this is to draw the king out into the open and use our bishop. And really, I mean, black is busted here. If he goes back to g8, it's checkmate in 2 moves. We have check, and now there's no pawn on g6. Bishop h5 is checkmate. So Donna was forced to take this one, but now bishop h5 check comes anyway. Black only has one move, and that is king h7. And now a very nice pattern here. You need to find a good discovered check with the bishop, and you need to find a good check with the bishop that stops the black king from escaping to g8. So bishop to f7 check is the brilliant move that keeps the king trapped here, and again we're closing the net around that king. Bishop h6 is forced, and here there's a number of tempting moves, but I'll give you guys all a bit of a chance to catch up on this position. If you haven't seen the checkmate yet, there's a checkmate in 2 moves here, and both moves again are checks. So if you haven't seen the answer to this, then just have a little go now and look for the checks. This one involves bringing this piece into the game with real purpose. This guy who's been sleeping for so long comes in with a big kick up the bottom. g6 check is the correct one, and well, king can go to 2 squares. It's not checkmate 2 moves, my mistake, but very near 3 moves, my mistake. Yep, sorry. 4 moves in actual fact in some lines. I forgot the queen has this square, but now it's going to be forced checkmate. If the king goes to h8, rook takes here, check, and then the winning move here is this one. Quite a long combination, and if you haven't seen it, don't worry, it's tough. That's one checkmate. The other one is if the king goes to g7, then bishop takes check, and this I find a very beautiful checkmate of bishop takes f8. And okay, there is one more move, queen h4. Doesn't make any difference, we take that one. But I love these little bishops here. They really control that black king, and a very nice checkmate there. Now, just to finish the show with, I've got one more game to go through. I'll go through this game a little bit quicker, if I can load it up. It's only 20 moves long, and this game was played by someone I know reasonably well because he's an English Grandmaster. He actually filmed a DVD for my company, GingerGM. And of course, like I said yesterday, you know, I'm not asking for donations today or yesterday, but if you do want to support this stream, then you can always go to the GingerGM shop, and the DVDs that I sell there, which you can buy in digital download, and you can get them on your iPad. I think a very good value. They're under $10, and you get 8 hours of tuition like today. But I do it in a much more serious way and really try to teach you something. So they aim to improve your chess. That's a good way to support the show. But this one, James Plaskett with the White Pieces, filmed the DVD for us. So I got to know him reasonably well, and he's quite famous. He's a Grandmaster, but he also spent about, he said, £5,000 to £10,000 phoning. But he got a payback of £250,000. You might be wondering, how can you do that? Well, he spent, I think, about a month phoning up one number, and it wasn't a hotline. Well, it was a hotline of sorts. It was the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire hotline, and he spent this much money on his phone bill, like about £5,000 phoning up, and eventually he got onto Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He got on the show, and he won £250,000, so pretty good payback. Also, a very funny story from him. He was reading, actually, it's quite funny that this relates to something I was talking about earlier. The author of Sherlock Holmes, before writing about Sherlock Holmes, wrote Conan O'Doyle. I've said that wrong, but you know who I mean, hopefully, and I'm sure someone put it in the chat. Wrote a book on mystery stories. And James Plaskett picked up this old book from an English bookstore, and it had a story in it about the Bermuda Triangle, and it had a story about a giant octopus that used to grab the boats in Bermuda, and that's why the boats disappeared. And he convinced the author, I believe, who wrote the book on Jaws, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So I did get it right, just a bit of a slip of the tongue, and I should have said Sir. And he convinced the author of Jaws to fund him to go in search of the giant octopus in the Bermuda Triangle. And he was telling me, actually, he had some fascinating stories that he went over, and he met some fishermen who had evidence that their ship had been dragged miles. Big ships, their shipping net had been caught and dragged miles until they had to, until they could get rid of the shipping net by some huge monster under the sea. And he went in search of this giant octopus. So what a brilliant, interesting job to get. So I don't know, maybe I'll go and look for the leprechauns in Ireland at some point. I'm sure they'll come running to me. But he's playing white here, and he was an exceptionally aggressive chess player. And as we're going to see in this game, he plays brilliantly when attacking. So the game starts off with him playing e4 and his opponent playing the perk opening, and this is the perk with g6, and this is a very risky opening, and it generally means that the position will get quite crazy. Jim plays a system called the 150 attack. I think it's the 150 attack. This system, of basically a very blunt system, you go queen to d2, try to swap off this one defender of the black king, and then you push Harry up the board. It works to perfection in this game. It's called the 150 attack because in England we use a different ELO system, and basically a very typical grade of people in England is about 150, and lots of 150s would use this opening to win lots of games, hence the name. And here I just wanted to show you how he uses perfection. Bishop g7, queen d2, and now castles, very risky way for black to play. And now f3, this is a good move to stop any knight g4s, c6, and here it's just such a simple attack. Simple attack here is get rid of the bishop here, and you must have all seen this. This is one of the most common attacking formations that you may ever see. And whenever your opponent fianchettos, you've got white, you get this in the dragon. If you can play bishop h6, get rid of the h pawn, so imagine that pawn is not there, then you can play bishop takes h6 and move your queen into this square. And I'm sure most of you are aware of this. So h4. Oh, here comes Harry. Come on, Harry. And again, I often use the move h4 when my opponent has gone g6, because I want to attack that formation with h5. I want to open up the h-file by taking there and get an attack going. And it's games like this inspired me to do that. So e5 played. And now, well, we might as well try to defend this point in our center, because when you're basing an attack, you often need a good central point to build around. You have to control the center often in order to attack. So knight on g to e2, and the point of this is that the knight can take on d4. And around here, I think black played really too slowly. I think black should have started a counter-attack with the b pawn, something like this, but I still think white's doing very well here. He went d5, and now, well, Jim just castled queenside, again going for maximum attackage, and pawn takes e4, and he didn't even bother taking the pawn back on e4. He just continued his onslaught here. A lot of people might take back on e4, but you've got to really consider what's going to give you and cause your opponent the most trouble. And here, bishop h6 clearly causes black the most trouble. And I just love the way the simple plan works. For example, queen e7. What do we play here? We want to get rid of the h-pawn, so h5. And it's a typical demonstration of the Harry attack. So I just want to just, end up with this one as we go. Black played c5. Coming to the first question for you guys. Well, of course, when we're attacking, if we can avoid retreating, we do. And you can avoid retreating by just keeping on attacking. And look now how Harry, who sacrificed himself, opens up the h-file. Now, question to you guys here. What would you play if black played pawn takes d4? And again, try to tell me the combination of moves here. It's white to play. And what is the best combination of moves here for white to open up the black king here and try to force the way through? And of course, in this situation, when you're positioned on opposite sides, when it really is an outright attack, you must avoid losing tempo. So by moving the knight on d4, I would have lost tempo. So if I can do that. But now it really is white to play and get a winning attacking position here. How do you do that? So try and look for the most forcing moves. Don't just tell me the first move. I'll give you a couple of minutes to have a go at solving this and see how you get on. And while I give you a bit of a chance, I'm just going to have a quick look if there's anyone on after me. We do have... Cool, Danny Wrench has been busy today, isn't he, with his shows? And I can see that Danny, it looks like a good Friday of chess here, that in about half an hour after I finish, Danny's going to be back with another show. So, it gives you time to have a little break and catch Danny Wrench for another show on the schedule here. Well, a couple of ideas, but the move I think the strongest here, and the move I'd be looking at first of all, I want to look for the most forcing move. The most forcing move in this position is a check, and it is a capture. And the check and a capture is pawn takes h7. I mean, taking on g7 might be a good move, but it's not a check, so it gives black time maybe to play e3 or something like that. If I take on h7, black has to deal with the check. Now, there's two good ways he can do this. He can either go king, well, not good ways, there's two ways, king h8 or knight takes h7. And if king h8, well, the key idea here is taking on g7, and now what is the winning move? There is a very good winning move here. I can see red zone Nova has got, I believe, the winning move. Anyone else? Black wants to put his king back behind the pawn so he can guard that, but it's white to play and force checkmate here. Victor the cool boy, hello cool boy. And a number of other people have found the right move. You stop the black king from hiding. You get a queen first. And after rook takes queen, now our queen comes in with devastating effect. Queen g5 check. And next move, well, the rook's going to come in, and hopefully you can all see this is devastating. We don't want to bother moving our queen to take on d4. The queen's going the wrong way there. The other variation in that was if we take on h7, if knight takes h7, well, we just now play bishop takes g7. And after something, well, you know, we're going to throw our queen in here, and this is pretty devastating. I mean, you can take on c3 when queen to h6 would be a mistake, because we've got to always consider our opponent's best defensive moves. And why is this actually, this is actually a losing mistake from white here. Even when you've got a big attack, you can still go wrong. Why is queen to h6, why is queen to this square a losing move? Actually, you know, black has a very good defense here. Anyone see the good defense in this position? I'll give you a chance to try and find the best defense. Subham, well done. Queen to h5 check. And black is now able to swap off the queens. Well, I don't know if it's winning, but it's not what white wants because the queens come off. But instead of that, white can play the simple bishop takes c3. I say simple. I think this is a lovely move because we threaten queen to this square, and the black king is far too exposed here. Now, let's go back to the game. The game continued. F takes g6, and now the attack plays itself. If we can develop a piece with check, let's do it. Bishop to c4. Get a piece off the back rank check. King h8. And now, well, another great move here. Bishop to g5. And again, James is not retreating the knight on d4 because he will lose tempo. It's more important to keep attacking. And here, black decided he had nothing better than taking on d4. And what was white's idea behind bishop to g5? So what did white now do to gain a winning position? And it's a similar-ish idea to the basically what we looked at before. And okay, well, I am looking at Twitch as well. The what? I'm trying to look at a number of things. The board, Twitch, chess.com, talking. It can be quite a multitasker, can't it, at times, this one, but we try to keep things going. And it looks like a lot of you found the right move. Faro 88, well done. Mark FP Watts, and yeah, well done. Emmy Girls, Best Girls, anime I should say, and well done. And that's on Twitch, just to prove I'm doing it. Canwood Alt doing very well today, obviously a very strong player. Subham, the right move here is blasting open defense of the black king. Rook takes h7 check. Now, the game continued, knight takes, but really after this is a way of black resigning because you lose the queen and black doesn't have enough here. The game continued, pawn takes c3, queen into this square because now the queen could take here, come here. And after knight d7, rook h1, and black resigned because we're threatening queen takes g6, queen to h2, and it's all about the Harry file. The more interesting, I think, sequence was after rook takes h7, king takes h7. And, well, I say interesting, but really white has now taken away the defense of the black king. In actual fact, this bishop here is one of the winning pieces, destroying the black king. We just moved the rook over to h1 with check. Again, if the knight moves, we win the queen. And after bishop h6, the strongest move here is like the last puzzle. We just play bishop takes h6. And now we've got this devastating threat of bishop takes f8. Black can try knight to h5. But here, I think the simplest way to win is knight takes e4. And white is a pawn up. But every white piece, every single white piece is attacking that poor black king. And the poor black king is in a whole world of pain. And that really takes us to the end of this spicy chess. So, well, again, I must say thank you very much for watching the show. And I hope you have a great Friday now. It's getting quite late over here in England. It's about 10:30 on a Friday. And might watch a little bit more TV before I chill out and have a rest. But I always, it's great to have so many people who tune into this show. I'm going to try to make this regular. So if you keep an eye on my Twitch channel, you'll be able to have a look at when I do, more of these shows. Do have a look on Twitch. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, the Twitter address is there. And if you follow me on YouTube, you'll have more notification. Follow me on Twitch. My own channel is GingerGM, and you'll know when I'm doing more of these streams. And of course, do come and join me. I'm going to do some more, I try to do one a week. Hopefully you learn something, and hopefully you have a bit of a good time as well. I try to do different things each kind of show, but always try to find something that will help your chess. And again, if you want to support me, then do go to my shop, GingerGM. We've got some very exciting things coming up. We really want to help everyone get better at chess, make it a game to open up people's horizons. And it's one of my aims would be to really make it a more popular game, and more accessible to everyone. And that's something we're going to try to do. But thank you for watching. And have a great Friday, and I'll be back again at some point, definitely. But first of all, Guns N' Roses tomorrow, so I'm gonna get ready for that one. So goodbye for now. Cheers for now.